Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ovatime with B and T. I'm one of your hosts.
Let's
I'm Fred.
go.
As you heard, that is the homie T, and this is episode 9. As y'all can see as well, we have a special guest. This is a good friend of mine. I have dubbed him part of the quote-unquote unholy trinity with myself and Denz. He is a homie we met back at Seneca, and he's one of my fiercest rivals when it comes to this sports arguments. Give it up for Caleb. Can I drop the last name?
Just go Caleb M.
All right, Caleb L.
Caleb L. Hello, everybody. Hello. I just want to say this is episode 9, and I got to be honest, if you're tuning in today, I want to let you know one thing right now. First of all, is this thing on? Because it's about to be on, people. Let me tell you right now, and let me tell you all straight, okay? This guy right here, Mr. Number 4, wearing this Texans, jersey.
He's already throwing shade.
This guy right here. Let me tell you something. All right, I met this guy at Seneca, and I should have walked the other way, but I had to play him in Madden, and I played him.
Here we go.
Ever since. And you know what? Obviously, we got T. I split up T. It's been a while, and
yes, sir.
I can't wait to talk about the beautiful sport of football. While I'm here, I am gonna kind of plug my own thing. I will be starting a sports podcast for all sports eventually, which I hope to have Miss and be on for all sports related content.
For sure.
That will be TB. TB. What's the term?
TBD.
Term. Yeah,
like the Washington football team's name. Don't worry. We'll
Honestly,
see if she gets a name first.
Exactly. But thanks for having me on, guys. I've been listening from day one, and look forward to
it.
Once again, just proving people named Andrew or BA or however you want to go, just showing them what's good. You're about to get ethered, my friend. Let's go.
All right. Well, before we get into that,
we're like 5 minutes in, and I already know people are dropping comments down.
Normally,
anywho,
when we first bring somebody on to the pod, we ask them about, how did they get into the football thing and like who their team is. So take it away. What was your first encounter with football?
So my parents are not from Canada. My parents are actually from South Africa. So like football.
What?
Yeah, I'm South African.
My brother.
I know. It's a little random. I know. A lot of people are like, you're actually. So yeah, my parents are from South Africa. So like football wasn't something. It's rugby. It's a rugby country. It's a rugby and cricket country primarily.
Invictus. Matt Damon.
Exactly. Although what, it drives me nuts because if you think about it, like, I just find that like Israel Adesanya kind of said it best. Like when Africa gets to those sports, no one's gonna beat them. Like they're just gonna be so dominant. I mean, like they're when they get into fighting, don't even get me started on the fighting stuff. I would not. It's gonna be
that country strength.
Boxing.
That country strength.
It just it's just you can't, and just grit and grind and tenacity. It's just, and I don't know. I can't wait to see it. Kind of explode. But anyways, so first gen Canadian, and so I had to teach myself about the big 4 sports. And growing up, I was a good average football fan. Like I liked Peyton Manning, the greatest quarterback of all time.
Here we go.
He's already dropped a hot take. He's already dropped a hot take. That's all right, brother. I love it. Look, I'm getting hot.
He started already.
I was a big fan of. I couldn't be a Colts fan, and when I was in grade 11, I went to a summer camp, and I had never done any fantasy football. And I was trying to find a team to pick, and I was having a hard time picking a team because, the Packers were good, but, I just didn't want to go on the Packers. And then there was this booty team in Massachusetts I just can't stand that, they go by the New England Patriots. But, I was going to be a Patriots fan, but the problem is that, what can I say? I don't like to film my opponents. I want to be fair. So
here we go.
I don't like to inflate my Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? inflate my Super Bowl, so to speak. Hey, watch out now.
But hey, who am I? Anyway, so neither here nor there. And so, being a Jew, New York is kind of our second home. So I decided, I was like, you know what? Let me take a look at some New York teams. The Giants that I think just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the problem is that my loyalty was with Peyton. So I couldn't be an Eli guy. So I couldn't be a Giants fan. And then one day,
I would think that's more of a reason because number one, first they beat the Patriots twice, and he's related to Manning.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what happened. And then by the luck of the draw, I was at home one day and HBO had a docuseries on Joe Namath. And I was just enamored by the New York Jets and kind of getting involved with the New York Jets. And this was during the time, this was kind of towards the end, they'd just come off their AFC championship loss.
Yeah. And, Mark Sanchez generation.
This was prime Sanchez. And so
before the Bucs
I have been this was 2 seasons before that. And so I've been a Jets fan since 2010. It's been a long 10 years. I've endured a lot. And it's funny, every year I say, is it going to get worse? And it gets worse every year. It always get worse. Every year. It's somehow, I always think this is the year that we're going to at least be 6-9. It's we can't even get a win. We can't even be 1 in, 1 in 60. We can't be anything. We're just
They're
the worst team
tanking
in
for
football.
T-Law. They're tanking for T-Law.
So, what?
Don't say that. Players don't get tackled just to get tanked.
I believe in Joe Douglas as a GM. I think he's made some great moves. And I think Mekhi Becton's dope. I don't care what anyone says. I like Mekhi Becton as a left tackle.
You think he's the best tackle out of the draft?
100%. Way a lot better. I'd say so far, in my opinion, he's been the best left tackle in the drafts by far. And I mean, the Giants drafted an OT and he hasn't been that great.
How about that same guy, Jedrick Wills?
He's been fine.
Jedrick Wills from
he's okay. He's been fine, but I mean, yeah, he's been fine. I would still say that Mekhi Becton has been the most dominant. If you ask, been this guy pancakes people. He's a truly special player. I think he's going to really develop and be the future DeBrickashaw Ferguson. He's going to be that kind of a player. Big guy, big family too. His family's massive. I mean, he's 6 something. He's 6'9". He's a massive human being. So I'm excited to see what happens. I think the Jets right now are kind of in the worst and best position because you can really not go anywhere but up. That's just my opinion, at least, but that's kind of where it stands. And that is my team. And that's kind of how we got here today. By the way, I just want to say we're a team of honor, team of loyalty, and a team that faces the Patriots. And it's been rough the last couple of years, but
I like how we ended that with a team of honor and a team of loyalty. I appreciate that. At least your quarterback is not running to greener pastures on the sunny side of the world just because he threw a temper tantrum with his head coach. You feel me?
I think that personally, I really like Bruce Arians. I think Bruce Arians is a great coach. I love his system. I love his fire. I just think that system fit wise, it's not a good fit for Tom Brady.
Wow.
You need from what I've seen of Bruce Arians, you need someone who can really zing that ball 30, 40 yards every couple plays. Tom Brady is kind of like a short passer. Tom Brady's the king of the slant. When I see Tom Brady, I think of Julian Edelman slant.
But no one ever criticizes him for his slam balls. So I'm just gonna throw that. No one ever criticizes that he only does slam balls.
That's
when he slanted his way into Super Bowls.
Brady can still throw the deep ball. Your guy has a noodle arm.
How about those deep balls?
If you don't mind me asking, who's sorry, Tim, I didn't get your team. I apologize.
Oh, I'm wearing the hat right now, baby. The fleur-de-lis on the head.
Oh my goodness gracious me. Taysom Hill. Don't even get me started.
That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
What? He is exciting. I do enjoy watching Taysom Hill. I do. obviously, I do think that they have to answer the questions at quarterback.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he's a long-term plan.
No,
but
no,
I
no,
think
no,
that,
for sure. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, but I think, you know what? That Saints defense is scary.
Bro,
Like,
bro,
very good.
man, you're gonna jump the gun because we have that's gonna be part of the topics too. But it's awesome, man. Caleb, first of all, it's good to see you again. I don't think we actually like interacted a lot back in Seneca, and if we did, I'm sorry for forgetting.
I mean,
of a goldfish.
I was at SSF. You were at Seneca Sting.
I was exactly.
He remember
So you were up
I was
there,
like,
we were
oh, you
down
remember
there.
Tim? And he's like, oh yeah, he was the mess guy. I was like, that's the one.
I mean, the man, like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. You know, we got Brandon Sweeterman Andrew, and we got
whoa.
we got.
Remember, it's for the ladies. The ladies call him Big Brando. So you know, I don't know why, but
all aside, you know, I got to be honest with you folks. What a good Monday night game!
Yes.
Wow,
Unreal.
what a! I just have to give a special shout out to that Monday night game. That game was the most exciting game I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that hasn't had some, you know, with the no fans, I do find it a little more challenging to watch the sports.
Yeah.
Funny enough, there's some sports that you realize that less fans are actually making better. For example, UFC. I never realized how much I actually hated UFC fans. I'm gonna call it out. You guys can hate on me if you want in the comment section. UFC fans are the worst people in the face of the earth in the ring. The matches are actually getting better without the fans. But football, Caleb, I agree with you 100%, especially when the defense of the home team is on the field. And like the crowd used to just go crazy. We're missing that.
I think the big four sports require those fan bases, you know, MLB, NHL, NBA. I just think that the big four sports, and soccer, of course, or football, depending on, but you know, it's something like boxing or MMA, you know, I don't think it's a requirement. And like,
no, you can even hear the punches now.
It's not a home advantage thing. I mean, like, I saw the first UFC in Canada, or not. Yeah, it was the first UFC in Toronto, I think. I don't know if it was in Canada, but it was in Toronto.
Yeah,
you didn't. Yeah, it was in Toronto, not Canada. And like, yeah, GSP was from Canada, but like, it didn't matter. However, I've been to enough. You know, I've seen enough football games, especially college football, where it's just like, yeah, you need those fans. You need those fans.
Well, don't you also think like certain fighters, they thrive off having the fans? Because like when you are able to land like a nice hit and the whole crowd's like, oh, you don't think that really like pumps them up and you're like, all right, let's do this.
Like somebody like that's a good point, because like it's you feed off them, right? Somebody like a Notorious, like Conor McGregor, would be somebody who needs fans. You know what I mean? Like, because like he's a showman. Half of his characteristics are a showman. Somebody on the other hand, like Khabib Nurmagomedov, is designed to fight in solitary confinement. He doesn't need any human being to be watching them except for the person in front of him. That's it. So
of course, also football too. Like, you know, there's that little added incentive when like you hear defense.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Or, you know, like when you hear, like, for example, like one of my favorite things about watching football games, especially Jets games, is when the Jets chant goes, and like you hear the fire alarm go off. It's just
when was the last time we heard that chant?
It's been a while.
Almost a year.
Even without COVID, there would be no JETS. Probably since Joe Namath. I'm lying.
Oh, they'd be booing because they want to get rid of Adam Gase. That's the real story.
That's true. But go ahead.
First of all, that man's the worst coach in football by a long shot. You know what? When they hired him, I initially sat there and I was just like, listen, as I told you before, I'm a Peyton Manning believer.
Yes, sir.
One time, I was just like, you know what? Maybe Peyton Manning ain't that great. Maybe he should not be advising football teams, because this was a dumpster fire of a season. It was a dumpster fire last season. To me, a football head coach who alienates players, who is to themselves, does not work in today's modern football. At least I don't believe it does. Like, Bill Belichick's like an anomaly because he has the rings to back it up. This guy is not an anomaly. He was hated by players at his last job, which was in my, and then you hire him to develop this young quarterback on a system that is probably the most one-dimensional system maybe ever. I would say it's probably the worst offense I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm not saying something because the guy was an offensive guru, as they say.
Please.
I mean, it's like you look at teams, they have fun when they play.
Mm-hmm.
Even Jacksonville's not, at least they have fun when they play.
Because they can win if they actually try. Like, Jacksonville's a team that actually has potential to win. You guys see that running back. You see that rookie running back. You see what he's been doing. He's sparking that offense.
Mm-hmm.
Jets, I don't know who sparks that offense.
He's going to be exciting. I don't think he's rookie. I don't think he deserves like rookie of the year.
No.
I mean, that is something that I hope you guys are covering, because that is a very hot debated topic right now. Because right now it's between Chase Claypool, for me at least, Chase Claypool and Jefferson in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's no rookie quarterback that's blown me away. Like, yeah, Herbert's had some good games.
Burrow ACL. Come on.
Yeah, and Herbert's kind of up and down. I think I'm going to say some controversial thing. One of the first controversial things. Ready?
Wait, before you say that, because we do have a couple of topics and you did touch up on some of them to begin with. Should we start with the game that just happened? Because I think the fans do want to hear about that. It's a pretty exciting game.
I'd be happy.
Absolutely. I caught the latter half of it. I literally didn't want Brandon to ruin the whole thing because I am streaming it. Yes, I'm breaking the rules. Come at me. I'm not making money off of this. But I got the end of it, and Brandon was 10 seconds ahead of me because he's actually getting it from the zone. Mm-hmm. What did you see, Caleb, as you literally watching that game? Is this potential best game of the year quality?
Yes, this is the best game of the year, in my opinion, so far. And we still have a couple weeks left, but it's going to be hard. Anytime you have high-flying offense, I think that a game is always super exciting. You know, when it's touchdown for touchdown, NFL fans, let's be honest, I'm a defense guy. I love a good defense. But we all have to admit we want to see those pretty touchdowns.
Of course.
We kind of rush. I do think that this game right here has the potential to decide what happens in this. Like, this is one of those games that's kind of like, in my opinion, the straw that broke the camel's back. And what I mean by that is this right here is the game that officially made the Browns and the Ravens the new best rivalry, in my opinion. Because you have two defenses who are going to be very exciting for a long time. You have two coaches who are pretty, I think Harbaugh's obviously a superior coach, but I think that for his first year, Stefanski's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And you have these teams that are pretty much for that first spot. The problem is that I think that in order to have a good rivalry, you need to have two quarterbacks in the same similar position. So it's not that the Steelers aren't maybe the best team or that they're not going to be rivals, but there's no young quarterback. Big Ben's probably got, 2-3 years left? These quarterbacks got 10 years, maybe.
They're just starting, to be honest. Let's be honest. Like, they really are just starting.
I couldn't agree more. So this right here kind of reminds me of, this could be, and I'm going to say this.
Watch him now. Make sure you timestamp this moment before he says it.
The next Seahawks Niners.
Wow.
I said it. Seahawks Niners with the Jim Harbaugh era and the Pete Carroll era. I said it because two teams that are legitimate contenders that are in that will be going tit for tat with each other, with playmakers on each side, big ego, gaudy type cities. Well, not gaudy. I mean, like, when I say gaudy, I mean like Baltimore and Cleveland are tough, gritty cities. Yeah. You're going to see some stuff go down. Now, am I going to say that they're the next San Francisco Seahawks? I can't definitively say that. But let's take a look at some of these players, okay? Reigning MVP, Lamar Jackson.
Big trust.
Big Mayfield, first quarterback that won in that draft. They won in the same draft class.
That's true.
You have Chubb, Odell, Garrett. You have what's
Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry. You have Andrews.
Hollywood
you have
Brown.
Ingram. You have Stone Cold. You have Peters on the as one of the defensive backs. You just have ego just oozing off these teams. And so you look at these teams and they go on these high, every single time these two teams are going to play, it's going to be different. It's not that they're not going to play the same way as they're going to play the Steelers. Of course, I understand that's going to still be a good game. Yeah. But there's going to be ego and just an oozing of like, no, we're this team. We're this team. So I'm intrigued to see what happens. And I think Cleveland deserves a lot of – Stefanski deserves a lot of credit. I think that regardless of if you're a Baker lover or a Baker hater, Baker, I do believe, put them in that position to win that game. Yeah. That loss was not on Baker Mayfield.
Do you think that was his best game in a loss? Would you say that?
No, because he threw a pick, and he still made critical error. Yeah, it was not a perfect game. Like last week, I'd say last weekend was his best game as a pro.
Yeah,
he was.
Wait, is that the game against the Titans?
Yes.
Yeah, that was definitely his best game, like by far. And I'm a anti-Baker. Like I literally do not like.
I'm a Baker hater. Just call it what it is.
I'm telling you right now. Like I'm not even denying it. I'm a Baker hater. Ever since he came into the NFL and thought he was better than everyone else, and we had the audacity to see all his face in the off-season commercials. I'm like, who gave this guy all these commercials with a Browns team that hasn't even been in the Super Bowls, hasn't been in the playoffs since 2002? All of a sudden, I've seen his face everywhere.
But this proves something that I'm going to say. This game proves a theory of mine. If you asked me who I would rather take, the best linebacker or the best quarterback, if you're asking me who do I take, Tom Brady or Ray Lewis, I take Ray Lewis every time. Because defense wins
championships.
Do not care what it says. I understand that we all know 50 touchdowns. I understand the importance of the quarterback position.
Brandon just looks like he's waiting.
But legitimately, speaking of Jacksonville had what's his name? Blake Bortles as their quarterback. Baby. And they went to an AFC championship game just with a defense. There's like, we're just a defense. Like we'll score like 4 points. And we're defense.
Trent Dilfer,
Jeff Hostetler.
But the thing about these teams that you're listing is those defenses had to be historically great for them to succeed.
And those quarterbacks had to be MVPs and historically great for those other teams. Tom Brady, or you just cheat. You could do either or. But, I don't know. You always do that. But you know what? It's, to me, a leader, I watch a lot of First Take and I watch a lot of things, and we're always talking about quarterbacks. It's a quarterback-driven league. I totally get it. But, man, when you have a good defense, when you have that defense that like I'm talking about like those Ravens defenses of those 2000s and those Steelers and those Patriots defense. Those Patriots defenses were some of the best defenses I ever saw. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They always do that funny little picto thing of like the talent that, Peyton Manning had around him versus the talent that Tom Brady had. And I always say, show them the defenses. Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that Brady didn't win those chips. I'm just saying if I had added Vinatieri and Bill Belichick, I might have done the same thing. But that's neither.
Just Adam Vinatieri. Don't even mention Belichick. A man that can kick a field goal from his own house. Don't even talk about it.
Like in the clutchest moment. The guy can be
and just walk out ice cold. I'm a boy Tucker. But I was gonna say this, Caleb, which is crazy because Brandon does have a point, because when you say that if you have a quarterback like obviously Blake Bortles or Trent Dilfer, every single member of your defense has to go into the Hall of Fame if you guys win the Super Bowl. It's not even a question. Now, what I'm seeing, though, the reason why I will push back and I will stand on Brandon's side a little bit longer is because at the end of the day, if that quarterback is elite, if that elite defense is going up against that elite quarterback, sooner or later, that quarterback is going to overcome that defense. Case in point, Patrick Mahomes.
How about this? Now, let's if we're gonna go on that basis, okay, let's do this. How many Super Bowl rings does Aaron Rodgers have?
So far one.
How many rings does Drew Brees have?
So far one.
How many rings does Russell Wilson have?
One.
Right. How many rings does Matthew Stafford have?
Man, let's not even talk about
Phil
Matthew
Rivers.
Stafford.
Fine.
He's
Phil
dead.
Rivers.
He's
Phil
dead.
Rivers. Okay, fine. How about Big Ben?
Two.
He's got two. When did he win them?
Last time was 2008, and the time before that
2008 and 2005.
Five,
Right before.
Now, from what I remember, wasn't that defense the best defense in football?
But that's also,
It's funny
you're
how
trying
we
to also undermine what Big Ben, like
I
Big
don't
Ben
undermine
wasn't a
Big
slouch.
Ben made that throw to Santonio Holmes, and that throw will forever be one of the greatest throws of all time.
Absolutely. No, but okay, go ahead.
But my problem is that we talk about elite quarterbacks. There's really, if we think about it, there's about 5 elite quarterbacks per year, right?
I would even say like 3, to be honest.
It's
not that much.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about MVP. Let's how many MVP seasons has a quarterback had where they've also won the Super Bowl?
Not many. Actually,
I don't think there's.
I don't remember the last time in like years. Probably going back to as far as like 2007.
55 touchdowns, and he couldn't beat that Seahawks defense. Yeah. Tom Brady went 16-0, and he couldn't beat that Giants defense.
Ryan was MVP that same year too. Cam Newton was MVP that same year too.
Cam Newton couldn't beat that Broncos defense.
Brady
I'm not saying
was MVP and lost to the Eagles too.
That is true. That Eagles defense was nasty that year too. People forget how good that Eagles.
Are you kidding me? That Eagles team was nasty. How many points did Brady throw on that team in the Super Bowl?
And still lost. And they made the play they needed to. They made the play they needed to.
No. The only reason that they won, I'm not even defending Brady, but I'm just saying comparing to Tom Brady and Nick Foles shredded those defenses. It's only because Nick Foles was ahead of the chains. That's literally, think about it. It was just one touchdown above the other. That's all. There was no defense. Defense didn't matter except for Malcolm Jenkins killing Brandon Cooks. Other than that play,
and the
defense did not
fumble.
matter. And the one fumble, but like
poor Brandon Cooks, eh? Guy just can't catch a break. I'm telling you.
Hey, ever since he left the Saints, that's what you get. Trying to start a fight in our locker room.
Honestly, I'm telling you. But all jokes aside and everything of that nature, great game. I think that they're going to be, this has the potential to be a special divisional rivalry.
I do agree with you, though. I do agree with you.
It's,
specifically because both teams actually rely more, like obviously we know Odell's out, we don't know what he will look like next year, but the fact that both teams rely on the run, know that every time they play each other, it's just going to be a punch in the mouth every single time. And like, I'm ready to admit right now that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are the best running back duo in the league. I'm ready to admit that after week 14.
People forget prior to Kareem Hunt kind of, having that whole situation, Kareem Hunt was like the best back in football. Like he was legit, and he was on the best. He was the best back in football. I had him in fantasy. He was incredible.
KC.
He led the league in rushing.
Yeah, when he was with KC.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was really like a special player. Like this guy's no joke. You know what I mean? And so I think that they are the best running back duo at the moment. However, though, controversial take. If you ask me, would I rather have those two or Derrick Henry?
Okay,
I'm taking Derrick Henry every day.
Controversial take.
I'm taking Derrick Henry every week. That guy. We're talking about special running backs. Holy gosh, that guy is special, and I would hate to get hit by him. That guy just.
It hurts. It's a business decision. It's a business decision. I don't care what anyone says.
I don't care. Give me Derrick. If you had to tell me right now, you could have any running back in football. Goodbye, CMC. Don't need you. Dalvin, great knowing you. Take a hike. Any of those guys.
Yeah, we didn't even mention Alvin Kamara in that list. But
Alvin Kamara, you're overrated. Get out of here.
Wow.
But
I didn't say it that time. I didn't say it.
I know.
I didn't say it.
However, I think I love watching him play. I think he's exciting, but I just think he's a tad overrated. I don't think he's as good as people think he is.
Madness.
I
was the only one watching his rookie season for some strange reason.
His rookie season was how long?
Why do I want Kamara if I have Christian McCaffrey? That's always been my thing.
Why do I want Christian McCaffrey?
What do you mean you don't have Christian McCaffrey? He's playing for are you talking about if you're just making a fantasy team?
If I had to take one running back in football today, I'm taking Derrick Henry. I'm taking him over any of those folks. In fact, I'll take Derrick Henry over Emmitt Smith. Yeah, I'll take him over an in prime Adrian Peterson.
Oh, you're finished.
No.
You're finished. No. Stop that.
I am taking him.
Stop
That MVP season. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm taking him. I believe Derrick Henry. I think I have a better chance of winning with Derrick Henry than I do with Adrian Peterson in his prime. I said it.
I don't even know how to come out with that. I don't even know how to come out with that.
Y'all can say whatever you want to say. If you can see Brandon's face, I hope you can see Brandon's face. I said that.
For those who are listening on Spotify, Brandon's face is on emoji right now. His jaw is still being picked off the ground because our friend Caleb, Seneca alumni, 2016? 2014, just said that he would take
Derrick Henry,
King Henry the first over prime MVP, torn ACL, recovered, almost breaking all records, Adrian Peterson.
To me, you can break every record in the book, but if you don't have anything to show for it, then you're just a typical player. That's good for you. You know what I mean?
Anything to show for him?
Rings. Guys, how many Super Bowls does Adrian Peterson have?
Well, how many
NFC championships has Adrian Peterson taken his team to?
One against the Saints and took that L, but still, come on. Let's just say he's been put on some pretty garbage team post Vikings.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think that the Titans are like the sexiest team in football. I think that they're now getting better. I think that obviously some key additions and good head coach. I like their head coach. I like their offensive coordinator. I think they're talented, but
the thing is that I agree with you I agree. Like if there was if there was a hangnail on my pinky, that's what agrees with you because of what Derrick Henry did in the postseason near the end of the season last year. But what I'm realizing is that I don't know, man. Tackling back then compared to what is done now is different, and Derrick Henry is a throwback running back from that era. Prime Adrian Peterson would run roughshod over DBs in this generation because now they're just looking to strip the ball. And if you're looking to strip the ball from Derrick Henry, you're going to look like Josh Norman on that Sunday Night Football flying out of bounds.
I'm going to say this right now. If I'm building the perfect offense, if you said to me, hey, you got to build the perfect offense. My quarterback's going to be P Money. Okay? P Money Peyton Manning. I'm taking the one and only Randy Moss because he's better than Jerry.
Thank you.
And I'm taking Calvin before I take Jerry.
Is he better than
Oh, yes. We can talk to him about it. This guy right here says that Larry Fitzgerald is the GOAT.
We have topics.
Larry Fitzgerald is a great receiver. He's a top 5 receiver.
This guy said
Let
top
me
5.
tell you something.
This guy said top 5. Top 4. Top 3.
He's top
goal.
5.
My goal.
Mount Goatist goes as follows, okay? Number one.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson. Number 2.
Megatron. I appreciate that.
People forget how that man played.
Wait, don't give me that look, Brandon. I like Megatron. Don't stop that nonsense.
Number 2, I'm giving it to Mr. Randy Moss. Number 3, Mr. Jerry Jones. Not Jerry Jones, sorry.
Jerry Rice?
Jerry Jones
playing wide receiver.
Jerry
He be catching them checks.
You know why? I was watching America's Team, the Dallas Cowboys episode, like a couple hours ago. It was just on repeat on my phone because I have all the American teams. Jerry Rice, and then at number 4. At number
Brandon,
4,
are you gonna agree with that? You're the only one that buries Jerry Rice for his gloves,
Mr. Sticko.
You know what? I'm gonna say something right now to you though. You're not gonna like it though.
What?
I would take Julio Jones over Larry Fitzgerald, and I just said it. I would take Julio Jones over Mr. Larry Fitzgerald.
I got a question, and I'm not disrespecting Julio Jones. But do you realize that Julio Jones has not been productive to the Julio Jones you guys think post that Super Bowl? Do you? Listen.
Do you realize
he's been injured and he's still putting up numbers whenever he plays?
But hey, going back to Mr. Caleb's point, putting all those numbers, but what are you producing for my team?
What are you producing?
You're losing to the Saints every single year. That's what you're doing. With MVP Matt Ryan, who can
he hasn't looked like an
the
MVP.
field.
He hasn't looked like an MVP though.
Yes, you know what? I think that, and maybe you guys can agree, maybe you won't, but I think that sometimes things happen to teams and they're never the same after that. So it took people forget, it took the Patriots many years to get over.
Decades, actually.
Yeah, it took them a long time to get over that choke of all time. The greatest choke job of all time. I mean, let's call it what it is. You were supposed to win. The Giants were not supposed to win, and the Giants won, and it was the greatest choke job of all time. And Patriots got to live with that forever. That they did not twice. That they didn't pull off the perfect season. They lost to a guy whose eyes looking in one direction and his eyes looking in another direction.
Hall of Famer Eli Manning.
Hall of Famer. He don't miss. Twice
against the Patriots. He doesn't.
Yeah. It's like the only team that he can for some reason beat. Every other team just. But if we're talking about the list of receivers, I would take over Larry Fitz. There's quite a few.
Man.
But do I think stats matter, and obviously wins matter, so that's why he's in the top 5.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Do I think that, for example, do I think that Julio is better today, or like of all time? If we're talking about the prime players, if Julio and Fitz had Peyton Manning as their quarterback, I'm taking Julio. I'm taking Julio every day. But I want to preface this. There is one intangible, in my opinion, that separates Larry Fitzgerald from all of those wide receivers that I said. And it's the one thing that none of them could even scrape, that Larry Fitzgerald is greater than all those wide receivers at. And this is why he's in my top 5. In my humble opinion, he's the greatest wide receiver leader I've ever seen in football history. There has never been a wide receiver better at leading a team in the sense of being the voice in the locker room, heart, charisma. Don't point your finger, Mr. Andrew.
I have one that I could say can compete with that.
He's very much mentioned Chris Carter.
No.
Chris Carter.
I go at Michael Irvin.
It's a very fair point. Michael Irvin was a good leader. The problem with Michael Irvin, though, was that Michael Irvin was also trouble off the field.
And
let's
keep that out. Let's keep that out, because then we're going to bring up the people who don't like Terrell Owens, and I never want to introduce that.
No, I mean, T.O. was bad, but I'm saying, I'll give you this. Michael Irvin, people wanted to play with Michael Irvin. He was a tough personality, but he was a great wide receiver, and people respected him.
Yeah.
However, when Larry Fitzgerald walks onto the field,
different.
You can tell that they play through him. Mm-hmm. He is the heartbeat on that team.
Only reason I care about the Cardinals over the past 10 years is because of Larry Legend. He's called Larry Legend. And you didn't even mention the most, sorry to cut you off, Caleb, but they always say, what is the most important thing about being a wide receiver? What's the number one job?
Catch
the ball. How many drops does Larry Fitzgerald have over almost a 2-decade career?
I think there was a stat that he has less drops than I don't know, it was some crazy stuff.
Yes, less drops than tackles.
Drops than tackles. That's the number one job of a wide receiver. Forget route running, forget everything. Because you can run the prettiest route, you can be the fastest wide receiver. If you have hands like bricks, no one's throwing to you. Larry Fitzgerald has the best hands in the NFL. Say something about that. If you have to say anything about that, just look at his.
I will say something about that.
Sorry.
If we're talking about hands, first off, he does not have the best hands in football anymore. The best hands in football actually goes to his teammate who wears number 10.
Yes, sir. That's very true right now. That's
that man's hands are special.
It's on T-shirts.
And I will go as far as to say that if we're talking about, wide receivers in history, obviously credit needs to go where credit's due. Mr. Fitzgerald is a special wide receiver. He's in the top 5 100%. His career is not done, and maybe when his career is done, I'll take a look at everything, I'll assess everything, and I'll say, hey, you know what?
Just need that ring, man.
But the ring thing, yes, it matters, but at the same time, Calvin doesn't have a ring. But Calvin was the focal point of the offense. Calvin did everything. He was the Detroit Lions. Much like Barry Sanders.
Exactly.
Much like Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was the Detroit Lions. The team ran through Barry Sanders. The team jumped through Barry Sanders. If Barry Sanders did not play, they did not win. And so that's why I give Barry Sanders, the greatest running back of all time. Yeah. I understand he doesn't have a ring, but he is the greatest. And I think that universally, I think people agree he's the greatest running back that ever lived.
That's crazy. That's actually, I don't think people actually dispute that fact, It's insane.
No,
the only person I've heard said that Barry wasn't is Skip. He believes Eric Dickerson is the greatest of all time.
Because Eric Dickerson comes on his show. That's the only reason. Let's just be honest.
Eric Dickerson was special, but to say that is crazy, because that's like saying there's never been I know the greatest defensive player in the history of football is Lawrence Taylor.
Yep.
There has never been a greater defensive, and you will not find a person who will sit there and say, well, Ray Lewis was no, Ray Lewis was not better than, Mr. Don't tell me.
Blitz the League.
Yeah.
Blitz the League Volume 2. But I was going to say this, though, because we this was a conversation that we brought up. We're saying the hardest position to play on the football field. And in our group chat, we came to the conclusion that it was the cornerback position, because the cornerback has to do what the wide receiver is doing, backpedaling. They may not have the best hands, but they still have to be able to cover to one of the best positions on the field, while at the same time being able to tackle. And Deion Sanders,
the quarterback or the quarterback?
Corner.
CB.
Corner. Okay, corner. Yeah.
Yeah. And Deion Sanders played that position to the point where, do you realize that no one even there's no debate on a quarterback near him? It's not even close. We have close linebackers.
Some people would say Revis. Some would say Revis.
Revis, when he was in his prime, still was not even close to Deion Sanders. And
I'm sorry, man.
I'm a Jets fan, but Deion Sanders was something special.
And that's why I feel like he's probably
he's on the Mount Rushmore of defensive players.
Yeah,
However,
exactly.
I would say if we're talking about the hardest position to play in football, and we're talking about legitimately the hardest position to play in football, they're all different and they're all challenging in their own way. The quarterback position is the hardest mentally, but physically speaking, the quarterback takes the least amount of hits. They don't really have to be that athletic, so long as you have a decent enough arms and you can read the defenses and work. It's a hard working job, but it's not a physically hard job. Now, if we're talking the physicality of the job, the hardest position is actually offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Physicality.
Yeah.
You get your head bumped in. You need to be big, strong. You're pushing bodies around. Anything on the D line or O line usually is going to be a tough position.
Yeah.
From a, if we had to kind of find, the defensive anchor, I'd probably have to agree with you folks. I'm thinking about it. I don't see how any position could be harder than the corner, for the simple reason, one, the backpedaling, of course, is a massive aspect.
Imagine backpedaling against, like you mentioned, Megatron. Imagine backpedaling against, you said.
People didn't back.
You didn't backpedal. You were just chasing him down the field.
You were just hoping. You were just hoping he didn't embarrass you. That was it. It wasn't
exactly. Or he doesn't hold on to the ball when he goes down and follow through with the catch.
As I said, I feel bad because a lot of these young kids. It's funny, how I'm in that generation now, where it's these young kids don't realize how great Megatron was.
Yeah.
They don't. They were not around for that. It's kind of crazy to think that people don't talk about Megatron anymore. Megatron was the greatest wide receiver I've ever seen play football.
Because he's on the Detroit Lions, man.
Listen, the New York Jets were just as bad as those Detroit Lions, and he still put up historic numbers. He did things on that team. There are memes out there of him being double to triple covered, and nobody can stop him. He was just physically different. He just had something. But one thing, back to this cornerback thing, it's such a it's tough because I mean, also the middle, like the middle linebacker position is the defensive anchor, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one calling the defensive plays. You're the quarterback of the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are not aware of you can make the argument that middle linebacker is the hardest position because you need to know schemes of that off. Like you have to be able to definitively not only be physically tough, but mentally you have to.
That's actually true. They call him the quarterback of the defense for a reason because you're seeing how the quarterback is even changing
their formation,
changing plays.
Right. And so you have to adapt on the basis of formation, right? So if you see that they were going to go on like a power run, for example, and now they're switching it, everything's kind of shifting. You not only have to be aware of it, but you have to put yourself in the position of that play and make sure the defense is kind of being tuned to what you need it to do. So you can make I'd probably say middle linebacker for me. That's just my opinion. Like I have the utmost respect for linebackers, and it's not for any other reason aside from the fact that probably if I played football, I would have been a linebacker.
Okay.
But
how much did you weigh in high school? 160? 170?
No.
He was
to be honest, in high school.
Okay, then never mind. You were playing.
I would have been kicker.
You were kicker.
I would have been the best kicker. I would have been the best kicker in Toronto, by far. But it's cool because one of my family friends is actually a kicker. I think he's the kicker now for the for the Bucks. I think he's the kicker for the Bucks.
Kicker for the Bucks?
He's one of the kickers. Yeah, Glenn Joseph. He was the kid. He was the Titans kicker last year. He's a family friend of mine, funny enough, from Florida.
That's cool.
Yeah, and not close, of course, but it's just funny. He was on the Browns at one point, and so I mean, hey, look, to be a kicker, man, it's not easy being a kicker. Gotta give.
As you can see, this past week of football, we've had some pretty
Dan Bailey, get that
disgusting.
That guy back in his back.
Yo, honestly, you know what it just reminded me of? Remember that was it what season was that? When all they needed was just an extra point to go into the playoffs, the Vikings.
Oh man,
you guys remember? And he missed it. It wasn't the wide right. He missed it just like left, and it was so sad. I forgot what season it was. His last name was Walsh.
Blair Walsh. Blair Walsh.
That's what I was watching that day. I'm just like, yep, that's the Vikings in you.
Blair Walsh was just like some special at the time, but. You look at a lot of these teams ever since they obviously made the field goal farther. Yeah. It's really like it hindered a lot of kickers. Like I didn't realize the hindrance that just a couple yards would have caused. But
like the dynamic to be a kicker, man. Like it's honestly like they say, okay, you only had one job, but it's like, bro, everything depends on this one job. So if you miss, like I don't even know the amount of stress that goes through the kicker's mind, especially when they're expecting you to. It's like a goalkeeper in soccer, right? Like you're expected to save the ball. You know what I mean? Like that's your only job. Yeah. The psychology behind it, man. Especially when people say, "Oh, and it's just a 30-yard field goal." You try kicking a 30-yard field goal and see if you can get it over the snapper. If you can actually kick that ball over your actual O-line, and it's not easy, man. It is pretty sad. They are professionals, and they shouldn't be missing.
Definitely tough. What's the next topic? I was curious. I feel like
I want to let you go. I was just letting you go. But next up, our first question was, are the Steelers dead? Mr. Mel, I know over the last couple of years, during your disappointment with the Jets, you have been on record saying, hey, if you were ever another fan of a team, it would be the Steelers. So you probably
the Iron Curtain.
Steel Curtain.
You know what? I'll say it right now. Maybe don't make investments with me because clearly I didn't make a good investment at all.
Hey, no, did you curse that team or what? What's going on?
Huh?
Are they dead?
I don't know.
Or what's going on with them?
So no, the Steelers are not dead, everybody. Relax, okay? First of all, the Washington game, yes, I agree that was a pretty bad loss, but listen, they lost to the
best
Bills.
Defense they face. The Washington.
The Bills, let's get something straight here, okay, about the Bills. The Bills
they're a great team.
They're a fantastic team. Tremaine Edwards, is that his name?
Yes.
Or Edmonds?
Edmonds.
That guy is scary.
Yeah.
I remember when they drafted him and I saw that guy, I was like, that guy's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's been a problem ever since they drafted him. Their defense is elite. I don't think there's a better defense out there. I'm not giving Josh, I refuse to give Josh Allen credit. I think that if you put any quarterback on that team, they would have been fine, but that's for another debate topic. I'm not giving him his credit.
I don't know about any other. Like, it has to be at least almost at his level, like a Justin Herbert or above. You're not putting Dan Arnold.
If Josh Rosen was drafted to the Bills, he would have been fine.
I said Josh Rosen.
Josh
really?
Rosen, eh?
Josh Rosen, the backup of the backup. Stop it, please. Don't bring that man up.
Let me say something right now, okay? Josh Allen was blessed with. I think that we talk a lot of the time about quarterback success. Yeah. What makes quarterback successful? Well, there's a couple things that need to happen. Okay. First thing, you need to go to a team that's either starting from the bottom, like if you're a young first-year quarterback straight out of college, either a young team that's building or a team that's, I would probably say a piece or two away.
Yeah.
Or like a couple pieces away. So the Bills made the playoffs a year before that. Then they didn't make the playoffs.
That was with Tyrod.
And
right?
then they were a piece or two away. Right, Tyrod, exactly. They were a piece or two away. That's all that matters. That's all that people need to know. They were a piece or two away. And so you inherit this team that had close to an elite defense. You inherit a team with a pretty reasonable head coach. I think Doug Marone's exceptional. Yeah. I think he's a fantastic coach. And you take this or is it Doug? Yeah, it's Doug Marone. I'm pretty sure. I think I'm thinking of Jacksonville. 1 second. Let me take a look. It's gonna.
Yeah, Jacksonville had Doug Marone.
Yeah, Jacksonville.
But speaking
of Tom McDermott. I'm sorry, fans. I'm sorry.
We don't care about Bills Mafia anyways. We're Patriots and Jets fans.
I don't care about them when they win one playoff game. But I was gonna say, speaking of adding pieces, look how much Stephon Diggs has done for that team this season. It's actually bananas. And I'm not saying the Vikings are lost right now because obviously Justin Jefferson is putting in work, but like the fact that they got somebody like Stephon Diggs is like somebody that connects. Like, you know how they have the picture of God and man and Adam? You have Josh Allen, and then you have Stephon Diggs' finger just meet in the middle for that 80-yard. It's crazy. Like, I'm just saying. Yeah, exactly.
The one thing I'll give Josh Allen credit on is that his arm is special. He can
crazy.
He's got a crazy arm. He's got the best arm. I'd say like it's like Mahomes, Rodgers, and then him. I'm willing to go there.
Remember, we started this earlier, like maybe episode 2 or 3, when we were talking about which one would you pick? Would you pick Josh Allen or would you pick? I forgot who was the second pick, and I actually didn't pick Josh Allen because I thought his accuracy was not good. You know what I mean? I just really
he's
thought
gotten better.
He have a powerful arm, but he's gotten so much better in the past couple of weeks.
I mean, considering he also is throwing to Diggs, that also plays a factor.
I mean, 1,000%. But
he's got a good team around him, and as a Jets fan, it drives me nuts because I'm in the camp of Sam Darnold is not the problem. I don't care what anyone says, and it drives me nuts because he's gonna go to the Saints or to the Steelers or to one of those teams. And
that's a good point.
He's going to be special. I already know it.
Did you see that 60-yard run from Sam Darnold looking like Daniel Jones?
Man, he was something. Yeah, but back to the initial question: are the Steelers done? No, they're not. They're far from done. Anybody who sleeps on that Steelers defense with TJ Watt is stupid. Anybody who doesn't think that Big Ben can throw or sling 3 touchdowns. Yes, he'll throw 2 picks while he does it, but he will still throw 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself. He's a pick machine, but Big Ben still isn't he's still an older quarterback with lots of experience. Yeah. He is somebody who is, needs to be respected. I don't know where this Big Ben disrespect came in. The guy's got 2 rings.
Because of his off the field antics with the whole.
Well, that's why I couldn't be. That's why I didn't pick the Steelers initially because of the whole off-field stuff. But that's a whole other conversation.
And even if you mix that with what's it called, like the conversations, like literally for the past, like right before the year that he didn't play, but like you had the whole Juju Smith-Schuster, Antonio Brown situation and him, and like you never have I don't think you've ever seen a quarterback wide receiver controversy where people were picking sides for like 2 years straight.
That's not true. Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens.
Oh, never mind. That's very true. That's even went all the way to the Super Bowl. Yes.
Yeah, but it's still it always fizzles out because at some point someone's going to say either trade me or trade him, but we can't play
exactly.
Well, the problem right now is that we deal with a situation where you got, a quarterback like a Big Ben, and yes, like, well, I'm not going to cover the off the field stuff because it's irrelevant. Like right now for this conversation, it's irrelevant. What is relevant though is that, Big Ben, he's a crafty veteran.
Yeah,
He's played a lot of games. He's taken a lot of big hits, and on any single day, Big Ben could be the best quarterback in football, and he could also be the worst thing you've ever seen in football.
that's true.
It's one or two. He's not like, if you're looking for stability, I just don't think that Big Ben's that guy.
Yeah.
He's never been that guy. How many stable seasons has Big Ben had? Let's be honest here. Not
either
many.
Highlights or nothing.
Yeah, it's either
like Super Bowl or nothing, to be honest.
Right. Like, he will throw a lot of picks.
Yeah.
He will throw a lot of touchdowns. He'll have like a 450-yard game, or he'll get injured and he won't be able to play. Like, he's a guy that, regardless of what anybody wants to say, he's a tough SOB. And he's when I look at quarterback toughness, he's definitely the toughest quarterback that I know. I mean, I would know.
Excuse me. I was just going to ignore my guy who has one working rib and scored a touchdown drive.
Drew Brees is 5'9", but he's automatically deleted from the conversation.
Yeah, and he still scored a touchdown drive with a punctured lung and 8 broken ribs. Stop the noise.
And he's also extremely overrated. But we'll get to that after. But the most overrated, I could put it in the top 5 most overrated quarterbacks in the history of football.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy. It's crazy that you say such things.
It really. I mean, it goes him. He fits in the categories of the Steve Youngs.
So now you say Steve Young is overrated?
Steve Young is overrated by far. He's listen.
Gets away against Steve Young? Gets away against Steve. Stop that noise. What do you mean he's overrated?
I would be thrilled if I was being compared to Steve Young. I'll never be compared to any of these athletes. Listen, this is not a disrespect to them.
That's
I'm
the
just
definition
saying
of disrespect. What are you saying that? You overrate.
But listen. He's got a beautiful wife, a beautiful family, a Super Bowl ring, a city that will always respect him, and he's a great ambassador for football. However, huh?
I'm listening to you. This is disgusting.
Yeah. However,
even Brandon would never say he's overrated. Brandon says he's a great quarterback. He's a top 5.
He's a great quarterback, but he's not a top 5. I wouldn't even put him in the top 10. He's not even in the top 10.
I know why you brought him here. I know why you brought him here.
I can name you 10 quarterbacks. Let me tell you, I can tell you 10 quarterbacks right now.
All right, let's hear them. Let's hear this.
Let's hear them.
Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. I would rather have...
Well, you're going to list like 10 guys that just came out 2 years ago. We're talking about prime guys.
All time.
Okay, sure. All-time quarterbacks that I would rather have over Mr. Drew Brees. Number 1, Tom Brady. Number 2.
I know you're writing it down, Brandon.
Yeah, write it down. Number 2. This is not an order, by the way. This is just like people. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning.
Okay,
Aaron Rodgers.
You're really gonna listen to this?
Eli has won 2 Super Bowls compared to Mr. Brees' 1, and he beat the greatest team of all time on the biggest stage by far. Number 5, give me Phil Simms, give me Troy Aikman, give me Brett Favre, give me even Steve Young, give me Joe Montana, give me Bart Starr. Maybe not Bart Starr. That one I'm kidding around about. But seriously, in all jokes and all sides of things of that nature.
So I have Brady, Peyton, Eli, Phil Simms, Aikman, Brett, Joe, Aaron Rodgers.
He put Eli in that list, fam.
Yeah, I have that one too.
You got to put you got to put Easy Eli in that list, man. Easy Eli doesn't miss. He made the greatest throw in the history of football.
Man, I would agree with it now because it's to fit your what's the word I'm looking for? Your narrative.
Sure. How about this? I'll give you another one. Give me Warren Moon over him, happily. You know what I mean? All I have to say is I don't dispute Drew Brees as a great quarterback. He has his place in history. He has a Super Bowl. He's one time.
Let's not even talk about that. Let's not even talk about the fact that you listed a bunch of good quarterbacks. Let's not say great. Good quarterbacks.
Who's not?
Would you put Dan Marino? Did you say Dan Marino as well?
Eli Manning?
I forgot about Danny Dimes. That's the original Danny Dimes, by the way. Those people are
Eli Manning. Okay, first of all, and this is the question. Why do people like, I didn't grow up with Dan Marino, but I want people to tell me, because you said, oh, he's got that Super Bowl ring. But somehow, whenever the Super Bowl ring and Dan Marino's conversations come together, the Super Bowl ring means nothing. Because then people say, oh, well, Trent Dilfer's got a Super Bowl ring. What makes Dan Marino a better quarterback than Drew Brees?
Sure, I can tell you right now. Dan Marino single-handedly carried those Dolphins teams. You have to be the X factor on the team. Let me tell you why I have a hard time giving Brady the GOAT moniker. Okay. The reason why is because the year that Tom Brady left or was injured, he tore his ACL, and you put in nobody, and nobody, they still won 8 to 10 games. You give me Jimmy G. He looks great. Even Cam Newton has had flashes of greatness. However, you put Drew Brees on that team, that Super Bowl, and that was a great Super Bowl to watch. I think that the X factor of the team is what matters most. Who is the X factor? So you remember your conversation about Larry Fitz?
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald is the X factor, right? We can agree.
100%.
He's the X factor. He's the heart and soul of that team. And not only that, but he's that piece that you put on that team to be known as the GOAT team.
Yeah.
Right. That's what takes your team from the contenders to the to the champs.
Yeah.
Right. Drew Brees inherited a great team.
What?
When he was traded.
Drew Brees. Brad, I can't listen to this anymore.
Drew Brees
came from Aaron Brooks, known as the Aints. I'm done.
Let me have a moment, okay? Who was the X factor? Who has always been the X factor on the Saints?
Drew Brees.
Nope. Guess who?
Who?
He wears the dumbest hat in football, and his name is Sean Payton. Sean Payton is the X factor, just like Bill Belichick is the X factor on the Patriots.
Are you okay? I'll let you finish, and then I will completely dog walk your argument after this. Go ahead.
I'm very excited. So listen, what it really boils down to for me is that if Sean Payton doesn't make the biggest gamble in Super Bowl history for the onside kick, the Saints don't win the Super Bowl. End of discussion.
You can't say that.
100%.
We always go through this. You can't say that. If Tom Brady, if the tuck rule didn't exist, Tom Brady wouldn't have won that playoff game against the Raiders. If what's his name? Those are part. It's a football decision. You're telling me Drew Brees still didn't actually do something after that? After that onside kick? You're telling me a quarterback still didn't actually have to play?
He won the Super Bowl MVP.
Thank you very much. The onside kick didn't win the Super Bowl MVP. Tracy Porter's pick six did not win the best. What do you mean? He didn't win the MVP.
The onside kick was the game changer of that game, in my opinion. Okay, that was what took that team and made them the winner.
So it wasn't Drew Brees MVP play beating all MVP, all Hall of Fame quarterbacks before he went to the Super Bowl. It wasn't him actually throwing dime touchdowns to Lance Moore, Jeremy Shockey, what's his name? It wasn't any of that.
Marcus Colston.
So basically, So basically, what you're telling me is going back to the regular quarterbacks that you say, put Trent Dilfer in the position of Drew Brees after that onside kick. Are they winning that game?
Mm-hmm. So can I? So
I'm done.
A couple things I want to have. If we're gonna be real here, okay? Because we're gonna have to be real, right? Do you believe that momentum in sports exists?
1,000%.
Right. That onside kick was the momentum piece that changed the entire outcome of the game. Now, I understand the famous argument as well. If the tuck rule didn't exist, then Tom Brady would have X amount of rings instead of this. And if this didn't happen, of course, we could always go on that, right? But the tuck rule, I think, is a bad example of that, simply because the tuck rule and that whole decision that kind of led up to the tuck rule and everything, that was a rule that was changed because it was so bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a rule. And yes, it's a football rule. I agree with you, but it was a bad rule nonetheless. Whereas with this kind of a situation, you have players like that's a player move right there. That's not a coach's decision. The tuck rule happened. It was a football decision, but that was not thought of from the head coach. It wasn't like Bill Belichick said, "All right, tuck the ball when you throw it." You know, and that way.
I use that example to just represent what if scenarios. What if scenarios can go either way. It doesn't matter if it's a decision from the coach or if it's a decision from the NFL rules. Because even when it comes to that onside kick, if you watch it closely, the ball actually goes closer to the Colts, and the Saints actually were like punching people underneath that pile to actually get the ball back. So technically speaking, you should give 80% of that credit to the Saints player. I forgot his name now, but he was an old retired cornerback who actually took that ball. So if anything, that play almost failed, and that was Sean Payton even saying it.
And also another thing you seem to forget is you're not giving any credibility to any of that defense. That defense was insane. That Jonathan Vilma,
100%. The defense was good. But we're talking about X factors here.
Was one of the best inside linebackers. I love Jonathan Vilma. Darren Sharper. Yeah. Tracy Porter, you had Malcolm Jenkins. Absolutely. That was a great.
First and foremost, none of you guys ever mention any of these people's names when we talk about other conversations, but only to discredit Drew Brees.
I'm not discrediting.
Like I said. Your first thing you said was that he inherited a great. He inherited a great team, or nonetheless. The Saints were garbage before Drew Brees, and yes, Sean Payton. What you found was the perfect match made in heaven. Drew Brees wasn't a slouch before Sean Payton. Let's not get it twisted. The only reason Drew Brees was slept on was because he almost lost his arm in an injury on his own goal line, and that made them not choose him to go to the Dolphins, and he went to the Saints. You could say, thankfully, that happened. Well, like I said, who knows what could have happened if Drew Brees didn't get injured? How much better he would have been? Who knows? Maybe the Chargers would have had a Super Bowl ring by now.
How about
this? The year that how long did it take? The year that Sean Payton was suspended, okay, for Bountygate. Mm-hmm. How did those Saints look that year? I'm just curious.
First things first.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because everybody always brings up this whole idea of Bountygate. Yes, they buried They buried Sean Payton and said he wasn't allowed to coach for a whole year. But they also took draft picks away from the Saints. You actually watched the Saints defense those years, and Brandon always brings it up. What about 2013, 14, 15? Type in a cornerback CB named Fred Thomas, and you tell me if that has anything to do with Sean Payton being the head coach. He is officially the worst cornerback that has ever played football in Saints and in football history.
Who is the Saints GM?
Well, Mickey Loomis, but now not Mickey Loomis. It's the lady. It was something Benson, but now it's Gail Benson, her wife.
Let me ask you. Fred, what was it called?
Fred Thomas.
Fred Thomas. Fred.
Yeah.
So Fred Thomas is a cornerback, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he's a quarterback. So you
cornerback.
Corner. Yeah. So you mean to tell me that one player is the reason why your team was bad?
No, I'm giving you examples of people that were.
That's like me saying, well, Bless Austin is my cornerback, so that's why my team's the worst team in football.
No.
It's not that Sam Darnold can't make numbers.
What I'm saying is that I'm giving you examples of why the team was bad. It wasn't just because of Sean Payton not being the head coach. Obviously, that's going to take a huge dip. Imagine if they took Bill Belichick off the Patriots and put somebody in there. Yes, Tom Brady is the GOAT, but you're telling me that's not going to affect the play calling? What I'm saying is that the picture is a lot grayer than just saying, oh, without Sean Payton, the Saints are dead. Yeah, Sean Payton is a great offensive play calling, but he's able to find somebody like Drew Brees who matches the way he plays and who plays it exceptionally well. Whenever like everybody always says, oh, so far is Drew Brees a system quarterback because of under Sean Payton? The only reason that Sean Payton hasn't been losing those games is because our defense has been playing at an outstanding level. We want to talk about how many games they did not allow a 100-yard rusher. That is a defense that doesn't even allow you to sniff the end zone if you're a running back. Point being, if our defense was like that when Sean Payton was out, of course we would be winning games. Watch all those Saints games. You realize that Drew Brees would be putting up points with Lance Moore, Marcus Colston, and what does the defense do? Blow the lead in the end. Literally, it's Drew Brees marches the team down the field, and in the last 5 minutes, the team loses because the defense can't hold it.
I have a question for you. What's Taysom Hill's record?
Is 3-1.
Interesting.
3-1, right?
Yeah.
3-1.
How about Mr. Teddy B?
Teddy B.
Yeah, of course they're 5-0. We know this. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, so let me get this straight. Taysom Hill, who is horrendous at quarterback,
he's not bad at quarterback. He's just terrible at reading the field. Let's be honest. If you're actually watching the games, making those statements are literally just overrated. Because Brandon and I are watching the game, we see that he's just terrible at reading the field, but yet he can throw a dime when he needs to.
The Bridgewater.
Oh, Bridgewater's good.
Well, Bridgewater's good, but Breeze is.
What happened to the Minnesota? What happened to the Minnesota legend, Bridgewater?
Oh,
now he's a system quarterback.
I'm talking about Breeze.
Breeze. Wow, it's crazy.
Breeze.
It's crazy.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny?
These guys.
Go take a look at Breeze's record in San Diego. We'll talk about how great he was. Let's people forget he was a Charger. If he was as good, it's funny because he was traded from the Chargers.
Hello.
Now I don't dispute.
What do you mean?
I do not dispute that Drew Brees is a great quarterback. I'm letting you know right now. I like Drew Brees.
No, I know that. I'm just disgusted at the fact that you say he's overrated when his records show you for himself. He's the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. Yeah. This guy is.
It's hard not to hit passes when you throw dink and dunks for the entire drive.
You realize he's literally been doing that for the past 3 years. Who was he dinking and dunking to before Michael Thomas came?
Let me show you. Okay, if I had Michael Thomas,
now it's
Alvin Kamara, and all these pieces, I too would be pretty elite. I'm not gonna lie.
Matt Ryan has Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Todd Gurley, who people say
is not Drew Brees. He's not Drew Brees.
Comparing Matt.
Don't talk about it now. We talk about everything about Ryan, Matty Ice, this and that. You can go MVP. Drew Brees never won an MVP. Ryan won an MVP.
He had one good year.
Man, you hating on Matty Ice. Matty Ice is a good man.
Matty Ice he's the most sacked quarterback by one single person in the history of the NFL, and that's Cam Jordan. Matty Ice is a good player. He is how you are showing Drew Brees respect right now.
You just did there? You just gave credit to the reason why Drew Brees is having a winning season. Mr. Cam Jordan, that defense.
Wait, so because one player does good, you think that takes away from everything?
No. I said Cam Jordan and that defense is great. I love that defense.
No, the defense is fire. Like that, and that's the defense that has to be stable. Like let's not get it twisted.
Growing up, I never liked the Saints uniform, but like as I've gotten older,
growing up, we all know everybody hates the Saints. Let's just
No. I just didn't like the uniform. These days though, the Saints uniform is, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like my palate has changed, but their uniforms are nasty. Yeah. I like their uniforms. Mm-hmm. Moving on to the next topic.
He's
just been airing out that flamethrower. He's just been flamethrowing.
Oh, I see what you're calling. They didn't touch me. Those flames didn't touch me. How dare you? And the fact that my quarterback was broken, 11 fractured ribs and a punctured lungs, came back and scored 2 touchdown drives.
You know who would have done that? You know who would have done that?
Who?
Big Ben would have done that. Big Ben would have done that.
Big Ben would have been taken off.
Big Ben, Brett Favre would have done that.
Yeah.
Punctured lung.
Lamar Jackson would have done that.
Punctured lung.
Deshaun Watson did it before.
Deshaun Watson.
With a punctured lung.
Yeah.
Punctured lung.
He had a collapse.
He was punctured lung.
There was one game where he had to take a coach bus across the country.
It was turf toe. It was turf toe. It was turf
toe.
No,
it's because he couldn't go up into the high atmosphere on the plane because
or he would have died or something. Yeah, it was something crazy like that. Drew Lock would have done that. Yeah, I mean most quarterbacks
couldn't even beat COVID. Stop that noise. Let's not even bring up Drew Lock.
Most quarterbacks with some grit to them probably would have done the same thing. Because
you could really say that about anything. Oh well, yeah, quarterbacks got grit. Man, we see quarterbacks go down for the smallest things. Touch Tom Brady. Oh, that's roughing the passer.
Anyways, Tom Brady's tired of roasting your Saints. Moving on. Jalen Hurts.
Roasting my Saints.
Since we're on the topic, since you like talking about the Saints, let's talk about Jalen Hurts for a little bit. How do you feel about Jalen Hurts after that game?
He didn't prove anything to me. He didn't prove anything to me. He's been
doing the same since high school, since college.
Yeah. Oh well, good. Look, I give him credit. He beat a good team, but he's not winning the NFC East.
No, definitely.
That Eagles team has a lot of problems. I do not think it's a Carson Wentz issue. I don't. I'm usually the first to defend quarterbacks. I know it sounds weird, but in my opinion, yeah, he had a fine game. Does this prove to me that the Eagles are the NFC East champions? No. Does this prove to me that they're going to do anything? No. People were saying this is the best debut they've ever seen. Are they kidding me? They kidding me?
Beat the Saints. Let's just throw it out there. But I agree with you. This is like it's Monday, so everybody loves to overreact after Sunday Night Football. But I don't see him doing the same against Chase Young and that Washington defense. I'm sorry.
You have to do like the NFL is a week-to-week conversation. Mm-hmm. So you can be the GOAT one week, and then you're the worst quarterback in football the next week if you have a bad game. Even if you lose by 3, doesn't matter. You're still the worst quarterback in football. That pressure. So to me, listen, you win. A win's a win. You win. That's the point of the game. You're supposed to win. If you rush and you do this, good for you. You beat a good team. That defense is great. We all know these things. I mean, they were definitely underdogs. Does this prove to me that they're going to go in there and dominate everyone? No. Do I think he's the best quarterback in the NFC East? No. But no, he's not the best quarterback in the NFC East.
We got Alex Smith. He's Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones. I can't trust Daniel Jones. I'm sorry. There's too much fumbling involved.
Daniel Jones suffers from what we call Sam Darnold issues, which is, 2 young, quiet quarterbacks. They'll probably be fine in the backup role, or if they get a good offensive coach. But I don't think that the Giants are like I don't lose sleep over the Giants. We'll put it like that. The Giants don't worry anyone, even if they're the best team in the NFC least, as they get called. But good debut. Yeah, it was good. But greatest debut of all time. Let's slow it down now, okay? I checked.
What didn't he do? I know you say he didn't impress you, but do you have to agree? They do say this, that NCAA or college football defenses are not NFL defenses. but he was still able to do the same thing in an NFL defensive game. So, do you not see him only heading in an upward projection? Let's be honest,
no,
even those receivers were actually playing for somebody they cared about, and that's
no,
what
because
I feel like it has to do with.
I'll tell you why. He will get figured out. He's gonna get figured out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, every running quarterback does.
He's gonna. It's really a week to week thing to get figured out. Once you get figured out, it's done. It's you just gotta hope that you don't get too comfortable. You know what I mean? But he's gonna get figured out. You'll see.
I mean, people still haven't figured out Mahomes.
No, I've figured out Mahomes. He's a pretty straightforward quarterback. He's one of the best of all time already, and he's only 22. But let's call it what it is. He's definitely better than Drew Brees at this point career-wise. But we'll not get into that. We'll get into that another time. It's
He just likes making statements now. At this point, I just know you just like making statements. But continue your point. So, for example, how is it? Just for example, I don't know who they play next week, but you just watched this film tape on Jalen Hurts. They face the Cardinals, who is disgusting. Shouts out to what's his name, Johnny Bones Jr.'s brother.
Chandler Jones is nasty.
Chandler Jones is a monster. It's crazy. Imagine that family reunion. It's bananas. But
I mean, Arthur Jones, him, like that's like a great. I feel bad for those kids. They got a lot to live up to.
That's what I'm saying. Uncles are their uncles are Hall of Famers. Period. But what I'm saying is that, like, as a Cardinals, let's say you put yourself in Cliff Kingsbury's position. Do you play him like you would play Kyler Murray? Is it the same after watching this one game of against the Saints?
100%.
That's 100%, a very good comparison, actually.
It's 100. Yeah, I think you're pretty much nailing the head right there. I think that someone like Jalen Hurts, he comes from a very good college system. I think that Jalen Hurts is a decent quarterback. Do I think he's going to be special? No. Do I think it was the greatest debut of all time? No. Do I think that he'll have his pros and cons? I do. I think that he's going to have some things that work in his favor and other things that really don't. But what I do know about Jalen Hurts is that when you're Cliff Kingsbury, okay, you have a quarterback that's pretty much verbatim the same type of quarterback. Yeah. I would probably say Kyler's better.
Yeah.
I would say Kyler's a better Jalen Hurts.
The arm.
Yeah, I just think arm-wise, but I think that Jalen's a better runner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
interesting.
That's also bigger as well, so he can use the physical aspect.
He's getting those first downs.
Yeah, I mean, is he a Lamar Jackson? No.
Better than Taysom Hill.
Better than Taysom. Hey, you know what? Taysom Hill has more wins than Jalen Hurts. So,
hey, give him 2 more starts. We'll see. Oh, do you think they're gonna start him over Carson Wentz next week?
Yeah.
Yes. When you bench your starting quarterback, that's who you're going with for the rest of the season. That's it. They made that decision.
Yeah, he decided today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing I want to ask is, Oscar, what do you think of the Saints? No, not a fan. All right.
But I was gonna say, like, okay, I know people say that Carson Wentz, he's not broken, but I told Brandon I had the hottest take, and it's not even that hot, but it's kind of obvious. I truly believe the moment they built that statue of the Philly special call right in front of, is it Linkman Memorial Stadium?
He has to walk by every day.
He has to walk by every single day. As soon as they built that statue, that was it for him. And I'm sorry, until he leaves the Eagles, it's not going to happen. Because it's not even that, like, oh yeah, the coaching scheme, this or that. Yeah, we know the guy that I sent you, Brandon, he was like his coach specialist, whatever. When you watch him play, there's time for him to get rid of the ball. There's time for him to even scramble, run out of the pocket, and just at least throw to was it Miles Sanders? Yeah, but he refuses. He refuses, and listen, he can't until he leaves that team.
I think that he listen. I feel bad for Carson Wentz. He's broken, and not only that, but I always say, like, what kind of talent are you putting around someone, right? Like, you have to assess the talent around the team, right? So Alshon Jeffrey, is he Alshon Jeffrey still? Not really.
He's just Jeffrey.
Yeah, I know. He's still talented. I don't like when I say that, are they still the same player? A lot of people will say, like, yeah, that's a shot. It's not a shot though. It's not. It's. I know it sounds weird, but it's actually a credit because of how great they were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And listen, age happens to everyone. You know, and it's the hard reality of being an athlete.
But Alshon Jeffrey was never like, I don't know, Brandon.
He had a couple good years when he was with Chicago. Like obviously he's not the best route runner, but like he uses his physicality to his advantage.
That's true.
He's very good with the back shoulder fades. You can throw it to him on a 50-50 ball. It's just he's always been getting nicked up.
Did you play in high school or no?
Say that again.
Did T play in high school or no?
Yeah, he was a running back.
Yeah, I was running back. We have a running back and wide receiver podcast over here. That's overtime with B and T.
You gotta get an offensive coordinator ready. I'm telling you. But look, all I have to say is I think it's hard, right? Because Carson Wentz will forever have to live in the shadow of Foles. Yep. And I know he's not. I know he's a very good guy, Carson Wentz. He's a man of honor. You know, he's never been bad to the media. Like, I've never had an issue with Carson Wentz media-wise. But I just know that it's tough because he's never going to be – he's always going to have the Steve Young problem.
Yeah.
And the worst part about it is that it's not even like Steve Young was not better.
He was Joe Montana, and Steve Young came
he was Joe Montana, and he didn't win. You know, so like
crazy.
It's tough. You know, until he wins the Super Bowl definitively.
Yeah,
the Eagles fans are not going to give him that credibility.
Yeah, for a city known as brotherly love, they really hate that. They really don't like that guy.
they don't.
Let's be honest. So Brandon, are we trading Carson Wentz and to which team? Bears?
Yes, Colts.
Bears?
Go to the Colts.
Colts? Oh, yeah, well.
Phil Rivers ain't going to be there forever.
He's not going to be there by the end of the season.
Here's what I say. I say if you're trading Carson Wentz, if you want Carson to succeed, the Colts would trade for him, and I'll tell you why. Carson Wentz's MVP season was when Frank Reich was his offensive coordinator. Frank Reich is now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. He could pick up the playbook. He knows the system. He knows Frank Reich. I think that would be a very good fit for him. Indy's a good city. It's not a harsh city. You know, the fan base is passionate, but they're not
They've
crazy.
Got good
like
talent around him there as well.
Great talent.
He's got great talent around him. And also the best offensive line in football. I think the Colts are the best offensive line in football. So
if they can keep Phil Rivers alive, then they're definitely doing a good job.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but like it's you have that kind of situation put in place. You have an up and coming defense. That defense is going to be great. I think Darius Leonard's so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
and obviously Rocky Sin is great. You know, they're going to be nasty.
Another good running back combination, Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor. I was following Jonathan Taylor in college, and aesthetically, I literally want to look like him. Like the reason I love running backs because I just love the way they look. And Jonathan Taylor is a powerful runner. He's a very underrated running back right now, but he is a monster in the backfield. So I think I'll put them in number 2 when it comes to running back duo. So T.Y. Hilton. Realize we didn't even mention T.Y. Hilton in this list of great Colts players.
Yeah, but I mean, is he a top 5 greatest Colt of all time? No.
Okay, but I'm talking about now. You're not going to compare.
Well, look who he has to go past. He has to go past to like Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harris,
Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck. You know, it's tough stuff. But yeah, I mean, if I were Carson Wentz, I'd say, listen, if you're going to trade me to the Colts, and I'll kick your butt every time we play each other because that team's only getting better.
That's true.
They don't need to
why is
one of my biggest?
Go ahead. Sorry.
One of my biggest worries is Sam Darnold going to the Colts because I think that Darnold would thrive in Indy, but we'll see.
Darnold would thrive. Like, I feel like the team needs to be better than Darnold for Darnold to thrive. I don't know if that makes sense.
So
no,
he can't
Darnold
succeed if he's the best guy, is what you're saying.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I agree. No, it's you can't start a team around him.
All right, he's not a building block. You say he's not a building block, eh?
Yeah, he's not a building block. He's a plug-in player. He's not a building block.
Yeah.
But so what were you gonna say, Brandon? Closing?
Yeah. In closing, though, since we're in week 15 now, I've already asked T this. I've asked a couple other people who came on the show. Who do you have going to the Super Bowl, and who you have winning?
Wow, it's a good question.
He doesn't want to hear my answer.
Well, let's hear mine. So for the NFC, okay. Let me just take a look. I just want to see the standings right now because I know that today was a pretty big, or this past weekend was pretty big. What's happening?
Oh boy.
Let's see. Okay, so I'm going
Packers. Watch him say Packers.
No, actually, I don't believe the Packers are going to do it. I'm going to play. You know what? In all truths, I actually really do see the Saints going for the NFC. Listen. What did I say? You have the
He
X
said
factor.
he likes Breeze. He just isn't the reason why they're winning.
Nah. You're either with me or against me. Get this nonsense out of here. Get out of here, man.
All right, for Saints, NFC. How about AFC?
AFC, it's gonna come. Chiefs. No, you know what? I don't think the Chiefs are gonna do it.
Who's beating the Chiefs in the AFC playoffs, NFC Championship?
I'm gonna tell you right now. It's gonna be the boldest call you've ever heard.
Hold on. Let me prepare myself for this. Yeah. Browns. No, I'm kidding.
No. Tua Tagovailoa. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm sorry for yelling. Brandon, I'm done.
I'm kidding. I actually think that the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I said it.
My heart almost exploded.
I think the Colts are going to be the dark horse of that playoff.
That's a good point. I'm glad you actually, thankfully, you changed your mind from.
I like that one. However,
if the Dolphins win the Super Bowl and Fitzpatrick is the Super Bowl MVP, I wouldn't hate it. Because I gotta rep for my boy.
Hey, for MVP then.
MVP should probably go to Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, right.
I think he's doing more for his team than Mahomes is. I really do.
The separation is clear.
Yeah, I would say give it.
But like when I look at Mahomes, that game that they just had against the Dolphins, the game that they just had against the Raiders, it's literally we don't play football until the last 2 minutes, and then Mahomes just turns it on. Like Aaron Rodgers, yes, the Packers lose if Aaron Rodgers doesn't score like 30 plus points, as you can see. Mm-hmm. But Mahomes makes decisions at specific points in the game that just says we're not going to lose this game.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is do not sleep on the Yucks. Do not sleep on those Yucks. They still have a man that wears number 12 in that city, and that man means business.
I know. Trust me.
I will tell you right now, and this is something that you best hear as a Saints fan. If you meet in the playoffs, those Yucks are going to stomp on those Saints. Don't
you know what? Until the whistle's over, I have that fear.
Hey, I didn't say anything. He said it though.
No.
But I'll tell you why. But only because there's one field of play where I think the Yucks have a clear advantage. And they're way better with their cameras. Way better. By far. Way better with the cameras. They're very good with their cameras. They're very good at breaking down plays with their cameras. If you take a time just to see, Tom Brady learned a thing or two from Bill Belichick.
Trying to bring it over to Florida. Eh? Well, I'll say this though. Like, as much as I despise Tom Brady, the person, Tom Brady, the player, I can never, ever count him out. Ask Brandon. The game that the Saints dog walked the Buccaneers 38-3.
He didn't say anything until they won the game.
I didn't say a single word until the game was over.
Did he pull a me? Where I just he's great, and then.
Mm-hmm. What did I do? I literally didn't even message
I was
him.
like, IT, the game's over. You can start the beacon. This man didn't say nothing. It wasn't until afterwards he dropped all his memes. He dropped all his keys.
But no, but Caleb is right. You can't beating a team 3 times in one season is probably one of the hardest feats in Super Bowl. So I pray we don't like the 2 teams that I say because my mind is changing. I think the Rams have a very, very good chance of going into the Super Bowl again if Jared Goff has a clean pocket. That's it.
Yeah, he's no, that's a very fair point. I think that the Rams are definitely up and coming team. However, if I'm in the NFC, I'm just sitting there praying to whatever God that may be out there just to not face the Saints in the first or second round. Because I'll tell you right now that team is.
Or actually face them in the first round because according to the last 3 years.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but
Cousins. But
yeah,
we'll see.
But
we'll see.
Drew Brees,
I know.
he's the GOAT, so don't worry about it.
Right now, Drew Brees is on life support. So let's just hope he can hug his wife first.
Do you have any closing remarks you want to say before we get you up out here? We don't see you for another couple of months because I don't think I can have you on the show as often. Because the way you,
I was about to throw my laptop.
You have any closing remarks you want to get off your chest?
Yes, sports podcast will be dropping soon, so don't worry about it.
Sir.
I look forward to having obviously you guys on there. Whether you agree or strongly disagree with my viewpoints, it's all for the love of football. And thank goodness we get to watch sports. These athletes are putting their lives out on the line for us. I appreciate it. Stay safe and COVID free. And just remember, if ever you're looking to pick a team to be a fan of, don't pick the green team. Pick the black and gold team. Just a note to the person who's trying to pick a team to be a fan of. But all jokes aside, I'm looking forward to seeing where things go. And
you gotta come back for the playoffs, though, man. We gotta have it at least one more time for the playoffs.
Let me know if the fans want it. If the fans want to see me on the podcast. I'll happily come back on. Sometimes Skip Bayless is loved, sometimes he's hated.
He's more than hated more times than not.
Yeah. People love to hate him, but it is a part of the game, and just know everybody that if the fans want it, I'll be happy to bounce back on and take you both to school, show you guys what's up.
Yeah.
But until then, I beat Brandon Madden. And just ask him about it if ever he bugs you, because he got whooped.
Well,
and
we only played a half.
What's it called?
We only played a half.
Yeah, a half where I was the Giants and he was the Niners, and I dummied him.
Hey, man, maybe it was one of those Super Bowl. It was those 28-3 halves. Maybe Brandon was gonna come back.
Oh no, it was like I think I saw the pick. I think it was like 23-10.
You could have given him a chance.
And
he ran off to school to class. He ran off to class before I could finish the game.
This guy didn't even.
You know what? What's it called? Yeah, and y'all keep safe. It's good seeing you.
Let people know where to find you. Do you have Instagram? Do you have social media?
Yeah. I'm gonna drop a sports Instagram and for the podcast soon. But if you're a fan of just some stand-up comedy, I have some stand-up comedy gigs coming up in the new year.
Oh,
and,
nice.
We'll see kind of what happens with that. The Instagram name's Old Man Tell Him. If you're a Seneca alum, shoot a follow up and
all day.
Old Man Tell Him.
Old Man Tell Him, and
with
obviously
his old man views and his old man takes.
Old man views.
He's a dog lover too, guys. If y'all love seeing dogs, that's the man right there.
This is the man. If you guys like dogs, controversial sports takes, it's gonna be a very different. When I do drop the sports podcast, it's gonna be a little more R-rated. But keep in mind, I look forward to exchanging ideas and just showing people the way, because that's what I do.
For sure.
But thanks for having me on, guys. Good seeing all my Seneca alums as always, and you folks stay safe, all right?
Yes,
absolutely.
Sure.
Thanks for coming by, Caleb.
Of course. Y'all take care.
All right, man. You already know. Anyways, so we just want to thank you guys once again for watching episode 9 or listening if you're listening to the audio version. Overtime with BNT. Once again, I am Brandon. You know where to find me at D Brandon Andrew. The B is a 6. If you want to find Tim, he is going by Dem Ones. The 1 is 1NEZ.
Oh, 1 and NEZ.
Yes.
Them ones, just like that, as simple as that, baby. You know where to find us. It's been a great episode. Caleb came with the fire. You know, some shots hit, some shots didn't, but my ribs are still fresh like Drew Brees in week 14 of football. Can't wait till the next episode. It's going to be lit. Thanks again, Brandon. Thanks again, Caleb. Thanks again for all those listening. Drop a like down below, comment, subscribe, let the fans know what's good. We're going to catch you next time.
Peace out, everybody.